In this video, I would like to introduce one of the extension modules that we have been working on. You get extension modules from the Home tab, Extension Modules, and you can click on here. And what you see now are the available modules for this version of OLX2. So this version is let's have a look at news. You can see what it is. It's the alpha version of OLX2. So what you see here are the modules available for this version. The module I'd like to focus on today is the DrawPlus module here. It's quite early days for it, so right now it's very much work in progress and it's a fairly messy module right now, but I think there's some useful tools in there and I'd like you to give it a go and give us feedback, and that's how we can make it better. If you head over to work, you have the Draw tab here, and if you open it up, you get the image generation tools for the bitmap images, PostScript images, and also if you've got the plugin installed, you have a extra tool here, which is the DrawPlus toolbar. If you open this, you get a fairly complex, fairly messy menu. Don't worry too much, it's not going to stay that messy. There will be a distilled version of these tools in Toolbox Work. So right now there's already 2 lines that exist here, and they're put into Toolbox Work, or ultimately at some other point, other place where they are more useful than in this big messy tool. So I'm not going to go through point by point what this does, but I'd like to give you a flavor of some of the things we've got in mind here. So let's start with styles. We have various styles that we pre-made, and you can select the styles. This is the default view of OLX2. And the style goes with the scene, so the scene sort of does the overall lighting. So this is loaded, both of them. So this is how OLX2 looks and default. But we've also got the style called Jupiter, so you can click on that, and there is a lighting model to go with that. So it is maybe slightly different. In this case, it's very similar. We have a style called Mercury, which might look familiar to some, and again there is another style that goes with it. So now the lighting model is different. And you can see that this is a different style, different look. Neptune, and we also have, well, let's go over and go through this as well. So this is slightly different lighting model as well, and of course those keyboards, F2 toggles the white and the dark background, and then F4 is the gradient background. And of course, we got a style called Uranus, and that is sort of the light style that I think we might make the OLX2 default style at some point. Again, there might be a lighting model to go with that. Right, so that allows you straight away to show your modules in different styles, and they're savable. There's also this box called Save View. What that does is it will, on exiting a structure, it will remember the views, the styles, everything about the visual appearance of that structure, and will reload it next time you open the structure. Which of course is quite a useful thing, but it does have some drawbacks sometimes, and you will probably find that this isn't really a finished tool, but most of the time this works absolutely fine. One of the other things we've got, I'm just going to switch over into F2, so we have a white background, and we have some shortcuts right at the bottom here. So we've got a metal complex. What that means, I click on this and it isolates the metal in this way, and this gives you a particular view. I think it's quite nice because you can see the ligands are quite distinct, and the metal is shown like this. The other 2 here are not relevant in this particular structure, but there's a couple of other things here that you can click. Now there should really be the Control J link here. That's eaten up because it's already on this tool here. So there we go. Control J is a keyboard thing which basically does these actions. It does this metal ligand bond, the one that I just done, and it also switches some fog on. So Control J, I just had Control J, so the fog's been switched on for the white background. If I have a dark background, Control J, it'll make the fog go dark. And of course, if you now go to F4, you have the dark fog here, and that is how you can adjust the style, Control J. Now the other thing it does here, it does only show hydrogen bonded hydrogens. So Control J is now going to hide all the hydrogens because none of them are hydrogen bonded, And of course, if you untick this and Control J again, then these hydrogens will be back. You can also set the hydrogens to be thinner, so Control J again. So it makes the bonds, well, it's hardly visible in this case. So these have been made slightly thinner, which sets me to how you can adjust the width of the bonds. So over here is the bonds and the bond width, so you can select the bond width of everything. So this is not just the selection, so this is everything. And if you're happy with that and you say, well, this is what I want for this particular style, well, let's just go choose something like this. You click the set button, and if I go Control J now, all the bonds will be like set, except for those hydrogens which have been set to be thinner. So if I untick this again, Control J, they'll all be the same thickness. So I hope you get the idea. So this allows you to really get a style fine-tuned to what you want. One thing to be a bit careful of, Alt 50, just type this at the moment and see whether the atoms will become bigger. They don't. Sometimes there's a little bug that these atoms will become too small, so the hydrogen, the probability isn't 50 but 30%. So I'll look out for that. Okay, so this is one little thing I'd like to show on this one. So this is what happens here. Let's go over to another structure and let's look at one with a little bit of disorder in. So this is THPP. The style is taken from the previous structure, so this is what we've got. So we've got the same style here, and Control J again will make the will apply that again with the bonds that we had set before. Again, work and draw. Here we've got some disorder, so now we can do the disorder manually and go on parts view. So this will now highlight the different parts. Of course, we've got the labels as well. We can go to show the part number on the labels, but sometimes it's quite hard to see. So there's a 1 and a 2. So part 2, the bonds are displayed in this particular way. By the way, you can set the visual appearance by clicking on this. That is the parts view on the set, so you can change a lot of these things. I don't want to go into this right now. Again, if you click on these parts, then Control J will automatically do these parts as well. And if I untick that, then Control J should go back to standard view. Now that is not happening right now. So in that case, you just need to reload the whole style, and the Control J without this on will then reset the. Well, there we go. So here's some issues with the bond thickness. So there's something not quite right. So we need to reset the bond thickness to what we had before. Set it here, and then Control J will do that. So as I said, this is a tool in progress. But one of the things you can do here, for example, something else. I'm just showing a couple of the things. You can select part 0 and part 1, just like we can in OLX2 itself. And now I select part 2, and now you have the option of doing something with this. So you can group this to be any of those colors. So I can click on this, and now this grouping becomes the sort of transparent gray. If I go back and switch all the parts on, you get this nice view of the sort of the second part, the minor part being sort of transparent in the background. And that of course allows you to make quite nice pictures where the disorder is hinted at but not all that visible. You can ungroup this over here, and that goes in here. Another little thing that I'd like to show in the context here is going to the structure called Timmy. Again, Control J, so that's always something to do. So that does the hydrogen, the metal bonds like this, and adjusts everything else here. One of the tools here, again, is all under construction, but it's, I think, out for testing. This is the updated alpha version of the plugin right now that I'm showing. We can click on this shells view, and what that does, it grows that molecule, all the bits that come out, and that complete the growing environment here. So we have too many bonds showing, so there shouldn't really a bond here. So it's con $M, let's say 7. Well, no, I think we wanted 8. So this now shows the coordination sphere that we've got. The darker ones are growing bonds, whereas the lighter ones are part of the asymmetric unit. And of course now you can go and go up here, and you can label the heteroatoms, and it will put the labels, will place the labels on these atoms, and you can move them about. So this allows you to get some fairly nice images, and they're fairly flexible and they're saved with the structure. So here, one of the tools here is you can select the asymmetric unit. So these are all the atoms that are actually in the asymmetric unit. You can now select the atoms, the bonds, or both. If I click on both, it selects the atoms and the bonds of the asymmetric unit, but you might also want to only have the bonds or only have the atoms selected. So this allows you to be fairly flexible in terms of how you finally display your molecule. A little add-on at the end, because this is getting a bit long, we have a style editor here as well. So this really aids you to make your own style. So you can actually take any style you like. Let's go back to the OLX2 default style, and we can now import lists, Jupiter, Mercury. These are just color lists of atoms, and you can import, and you might not want to change the color that you have done, or we can delete all of those. So I'm not ignoring anything, and we can then play with this a lot. You can change the ambient, diffuse, specular, and the shininess of the imported atom. So if you click on load, then it will import those color schemes, and it's not very much visible here because is this TALP 50 problem possibly? No, it's not. It's just basically the ADPs here are quite small, so let's just go and make this bonds much thinner. So the colors have changed to these colors from this definition, so this has now become green and so on. But of course you could change these things here and make the colors darker. But you also can, let's just type clear again, oops, in fact type lines, just to, I don't want to have any lines, not many lines at all. You can also change the overall shininess of the atoms for the model, and the specularness of the, oops, I'm not doing this. You can change and adjust all of these parameters for the visuals, and I hope you get any style or any look and feel that you want and that you like. Once you've done this, you can save the scene or save the style by right click, draw style, save the style, and then you give it a name, and then you have your own style made. So this editor here is really not something that you will be using very much, but it's something you can use to create your own styles and save the styles and the scenes. And there is going to be a lot to be said about this, because it's not fairly straightforward, but it's possible that you do this. I think this is all I would like to say about this at the moment. Let's just go back to a pretty picture here. So I'm showing this. One of the things you can do, you see like the style changed because it was saved with the structure. I can right click on this and go polyhedron and auto. So this makes me a nice polyhedron around that. And you can right click on this object, graphics, draw style, and select the polyhedron, make it somewhat translucent. So let's just make it, I think 30% will be okay. Make it 30%, so you see the polyhedron drawn here. Switch the F4 on, and you get the sort of fairly nice looking, well, I quite like it. Control J again to get the shadings right here. So that gives you a fairly nice, in fact I'd like the other ones, so Control J with dark background, so we get the fog in the background. That gives you a fairly nice, well, I quite like it, picture of the molecule. And then finally, if you put the labels on, again, you just label the heteroatoms, the labels will appear. So again, we're going to work on the labels a little bit and make this a bit easier and a bit more intuitive to make the label size different. But there we go. It'll do for now. I guess you get the idea here. Well, give DrawPlus a go. It's going to be it's out for testing at the moment, and while it's still in testing, it's going to be free. Eventually we will want to charge for this, so this is a way for you to contribute to the development of OLX2. You will be able to use it for 30 days, and we will extend that for you. But eventually, please talk to us and talk to your bosses, powers that be, and try to convince them that this is something you absolutely need for your work, and then hopefully we can come to an agreement. Thanks for using OLX2.